Hi, and welcome to another edition of Girls Talk 9.0, where we candidly talk about the horror film pick of the week and occasionally the topic du jour. Today, we're going to talk about the 2025 horror film Weapons, directed by Zach Kreger. My name is Whaley Hollow. With me, the notorious note taker, Nanya, and we have the sensational Sunchild.
Hey, how's everyone?
Everyone is
Hey.
good. So we're doing something new, as you can see. We decided to do some avatars. We'll see how this goes. It actually looks funny. The more I look at it as we talk, I just want to keep laughing.
Me too. I can't stop laughing.
I know. But just so this is a kind of new film, so just a warning that we will be talking about the beginning, the middle, and the ending. So if you don't want us to spoil it for you, come back and visit us after you've seen it and compare your notes to ours. So just very high level, this is about a young girl narrating the true story of an incident that happened in her school, which I think is K through fifth grade or something, on a Wednesday, where 17 of the students in Miss Gandy's class did not show up, except for one whose name is Alex. And these children kind of ran out of their house at 2:17 in the morning. And uh yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. So just very high level, give me your initial thoughts, and then we'll kind of work it through. I want to work it through like in the stories, the way the kind of the movie did. So just very high level. You can give me your thoughts. I'll go first. It wasn't what I expected. I thought it was going to be really about the children, but it wasn't in my view. It was more about the aunts, which we'll get into. Um, I don't know if I mean it was definitely. I wasn't, I don't think there were any jump scares. I don't remember any. But I will tell you, my initial thought was, yeah, this is a good movie for commercials because I felt like it was long and I could have taken a break a couple of times. So
Mm.
that's just high level, it just wasn't the best film for me, but as we walk through it, maybe it'll change my mind.
So
Yeah,
I'll go. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nanya.
Okay, I'll go next then. High level, there was a lot of good things about the film. There was a lot of not so good things about the film. Overall, I think it was one of those cases where my expectations were one thing, and had I not had such high expectations, I probably would have come out much more satisfied than I was. But my expectations were awfully high, and I felt a little bit disappointed after watching the film. But we'll get into the details of why.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. I had high expectations. I liked a lot of the actors and actresses that were in the movie. I think I had a different vision. However, I think the premise was excellent. Like, wow, 217, all these kids go missing. Like, what is happening? I watch a lot of docu-series or documentaries where serial killers take children. So I had no idea where this was going. It didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, but there were some good and bad parts, but we'll get into it.
Okay. Well, again, like I said, I want to kind of walk through it in the stories like the movie did. So the first one is Justine, right? Justine is actually Miss Gandy. She's the third grade teacher whose students go missing. Um, one thing that I found about Gandy, Justine, is I felt that she was really committed to wanting to understand what happened. But, as parents can be, and parents are, they wanted to point the finger to her because she is the only one whose students were missing. And she was the only one that obviously had a student remaining in her class. So they drilled her to no end. Do you guys want to kind of talk about
Um,
Justine a little bit?
yeah, see, one of the things that I didn't love about this movie, but I'm finding it's very common these days, is that the characters are just not very likable. And maybe I just grew up on 80s and 90s movies where, everybody had to be likable in the movie. I don't feel like everybody has to be a hero, but I need to like want to root for you. And she just was so I don't know. I didn't like her character at all. Great actress. She's been amazing in so many things, but her character was just very unlikable. I questioned, she did seem interested in what actually happened to the kids, which she should because she was the teacher and it happened on her watch, not on her watch as in she had anything to do with it. But of course, you're going to be affected if your whole classroom disappears. So I thought she was appropriately affected by it, but her interest just didn't seem. I mean, where were the tears? Where was the mourning for her students? I didn't see any of that. She was curious, but I guess I just didn't see any true emotion. And then when, she was trying to talk to the one kid who did survive, she wasn't very sensitive towards that child to me, running up to him, hey, do you want to talk? It's like, come on, you're an adult. You're not supposed to be pulling kids aside to have conversations off campus one on one. It just seemed a little bit creepy. And I don't know, it just, I think she was a good person, but the way she behaved turned me off quite a bit and made me question, you know, what is her real interest in finding out? Is it just because she doesn't want to be blamed, or does she actually have some caring, some feelings for the kids? I don't think she ever said one of the kids' names ever.
I think it's interesting that you touched on her inappropriateness, if you will, following the kid, because that's one of the things that the principal said. So when she went back to the school, they had an assembly. The parents were like, pretty much blaming her and booing her. And but and the principal said, you need to go take some time off because these parents are about to choke you and you don't need to be here. So why don't you take some time off? And by the way, this isn't the first time, quote, you did some your actions were overreaching. Now, I think it's unfortunate that if a child misses a bus, that you can't, you as a teacher can't bring them home. But I guess we're in a world where, there's just too many pedophiles and crazy shit happening. But that was one of the things she had done where they said she was overreaching. She had taken, I guess the kid had missed the bus and she wanted to take him home, and maybe the parents had complained, or I don't know. It's kind of sad if that we're at this situation. But yeah, the principal also had mentioned that she was maybe a little overreaching. Um,
Yeah, and then where was the, oh my gosh, what happened to Susie? Oh my God, Thomas, I'm gonna miss you so much. Like, did one of the things that I didn't like about the whole film, and you hit on this when you in your opening, Whaley, is like, did anybody care that kids were missing?
yeah, I don't think so.
It didn't seem like it. But see, I had a different take on it. I loved her.
You loved her?
I loved her. I mean, I don't know if I loved her because I love her as an actress and so many other things I've seen her in, but I feel like she was so broken. I mean, clearly she was an alcoholic. She was in that liquor store buying alcohol all the time.
All the time.
She
They
is so
all were, though.
right. They all were. But she is not someone who deals with her emotions. She is someone who drinks them away. So I don't think that she would be someone who would be expressive of how she feels or saying their name or saying, I think she would be an inappropriate character who snatches kids up. She's an alcoholic. She has a lot of issues and she doesn't deal well. And she doesn't deal like, say, a person who doesn't hide their emotions or feelings in a bottle or in some substance.
That's actually a really good point, and that makes a lot of sense. And that's the way I perceived her, which is that somebody who's very broken herself
Yeah,
and then clings on to other people to kind of give her life more meaning.
yeah,
Um, but
right.
it didn't make me like her anymore. She's having an affair with somebody. I couldn't tell if the guy was engaged or about to be engaged or whatever. But there was just she was just like I said, she was broken, and I don't have a problem, rooting for broken people, but she just kind of was a turnoff to me. But I would say that, that's the maybe the movie was a metaphor for society in general because everybody in this movie seemed disconnected. And this is the
Right.
theme we've talked about over and over again, how disengaged and disconnected everyone is from other people. I mean, you're in a community, 17 kids. I live in a big city. If 17 kids in a big city went missing, it would be nonstop coverage and talking about it.
Mhm.
This town acted like they were out there playing baseball on a Sunday afternoon, like nobody was missing. Nobody cared.
Yeah,
I do want to say though, I will give Justine a little credit because she did. I mean, she was a little broken. She was either in the liquor store or in the bar. And in the bar, she did meet Paul. That's the guy that you referenced, Nunya, who is the cop. Who again, I didn't know if he was married or I think he was married. I'm gonna
He
assume
was
he was married.
engaged.
He, she said to him, "Why aren't the cops doing more?" And he was like, "Look, that's not my job. Pretty much I'm not the one that's doing the search, but she did, say, look, well, how come you guys aren't doing more? And I think her attempt at chasing down poor Alex was to try to find more. We also know she went to the house and knocked on the door. And so I think, and then she camped outside at night when the crazy mom comes out and gets a lock of her hair. So I do think, she was concerned. Maybe she didn't weep, but I think she and, one of the students' dads were the only two that showed any concern. They showed more concern than the rest of the parents.
Right.
I would agree. I would agree. I think I was trying to make a different point that she did care, but I was curious about what her motivation was for the caring. But you make yes, that she was definitely the only one who actually wanted to find the kids, and Matthew's dad was the only other one. The cops didn't seem to care at all. The other parents, I mean, people are crazy about if a school gets closed on a Tuesday, people are, having a stroke. So I just couldn't imagine how quiet the whole community just seemed. It just seemed like the whole community was underwhelmed with this idea that 17 kids were missing. They should have been up in arms about it a lot more.
Hmm.
Everybody, the teachers, the school, everybody should have been crazy.
Agreed, agreed. And so Archer, the guy you just mentioned, Matthew's dad, his name is Archer. He was very concerned. He was vigilant about trying to find out what's going on. So much so that he was, I think, neglecting some of his real job, which seemed to be some sort of construction work or something.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
but I thought was such a weird scene is he almost incited a riot at the school because he was like, he went to the school and just was like, we want answers, and he got all these people all riled up, and then he jetted. I was like, well, that sounds like something that happened here in January. But yeah, it was I thought it was interesting that he, got them all riled up, but I do believe, he was definitely concerned about his son.
Yes,
But the question I don't know, is he the one that wrote "witch" on her car? Because in his trunk was red paint and maybe black paint. And they kind of insinuated that maybe he was the one that put, and plus we know he's kind of stalking her.
I assumed he did. I mean, they insinuated that
Yeah. I assume
he
he did.
did. Yeah, I assumed he did. That was one thing I also didn't love about the movie. Not to start to just dog on the movie because there were a lot of good things, but this movie was very long,
Oh, yeah.
way too long. And if you're gonna make a 2.5 hour movie, a 2 hour plus movie, don't give away the hint in the first 5 minutes. And when they put the witch on the
Yeah.
car, it planted that in the back of my mind
Right.
that I didn't think she was gonna be a witch, but that there was a witch in the movie, which I would not have gone to that, wouldn't have gone down that path had they not pretty much said, look, a witch is in the movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't have jumped to that conclusion myself. Like I said,
No,
very
no.
serial killer, child abduction kind of things happening for me.
Yeah, the boogeyman. I wasn't thinking just plain
Yeah,
old witch.
right, correct.
Oh, that's funny. I thought because an adult put it on the car, he didn't use the word bitch. Had it been a teenager, maybe it would have said bitch rather instead of witch. But that's interesting that immediately well, I mean, at the end you realize what's going on, so it makes sense. But I actually didn't connect the two.
Oh yeah, my mind went immediately to, okay, they're gonna try to convince us that she's a witch. But we already kind of knew that she wasn't because she's the main character, and the main character is usually not a witch.
Right, right.
But but yeah, I just wish that they could have not given that part away too much up front and then allowed us to kind of, was it aliens? Like just go anywhere. Is it a werewolf? Is it a vampire? Is it
Yeah.
just some demonic possession? Is it a ghost? Instead of immediately, okay, now let me spend the next 2 hours trying to figure out who the witch is.
Yeah.
Speaking of the witch, and I don't want to jump too far ahead,
Mm,
but come on.
yeah. Well, yeah, we'll get to
Well,
Gladys.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's get to
We'll get-
Gladys later.
Yeah.
But so Archer, this is okay, so Archer, this is again Matthew's dad. He's really concerned about where his son is, and so he's trying to retrace all the steps and gets zero support from the parents. I mean, I guess it's kind of odd but I don't know. If I'm in a close knit neighborhood and your son and my daughter are both missing, I'm willing to share videos if it helps.
Of
But he
course.
goes to one couple and the woman was like, yeah, no. But then he caught the dad and the dad was like, yeah, look. And then the thing that, I mean, the thing that really bothered me is that they all had video and cameras and the alarms went off at 2:17. Where the F were these parents? If the alarm is going off at 2:14 and there's nobody in my house, I'm up and ready. You got
Yes.
kids in your house. How come you're not like wondering why the alarm's going off?
Right. Yeah, it
It
was
made
very
no sense. It made no sense. No
it,
dogs barking,
right.
no
Nothing.
cats running out the front door, just just 17 kids in a and first of all, I mean, I saw the neighborhood. Come on, everybody in that neighborhood has a Nest camera. Let's be
That's
real.
what yeah, well, they
Yeah.
did say it was on camera. They all caught them on
They
camera.
all had on camera, so it's like, but there was nobody looking at the camera, like you said, except for Matthew's dad, because the police didn't care. And the other parents are like, well, I guess Johnny's not coming home, so time to move on.
Exactly. Maybe they were looking for that one moment. When is 2:17 coming? But yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad that the parents really just didn't do anything. And like I said, when the alarms went off in your house, like why wouldn't you just get up, regardless of what's going on? It just
Right.
made no sense
I
to
mean,
me.
you would have to get up. I don't know how the alarms are where anybody else lives, but when the alarm goes off, you have to manually
Yeah,
intervene. It just doesn't just go off on its own.
Right.
yeah,
Correct.
You have to do something. And
Correct.
so, yeah, all these alarms went off at 2:17. The parents rolled over and said, "Oh, I don't know what that was about. So let me just go back to sleep."
just go
Then
on.
the next day, they get up and they go to work. Meanwhile, Tommy's parents, I don't even know what the kid's name was. What was the kid's name?
Alex.
Yeah.
Alex's
Which
parents suddenly stopped showing up to work. And again, nobody's talking about any of this stuff. How long were those kids in the basement? How many
um
days had passed before they were rescued?
Did it ever say
yeah,
what they
no, I think it was just a matter of days. I
it
think it was,
seemed like a long
but
time. The movie was so long.
but regardless,
But yeah.
I mean, so even worse then, because then days when by then, nobody cared. Right?
right.
Everybody's out playing baseball. There's no pictures of missing kids.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about it. There are no parents in front of the police station protesting. Nothing.
Right.
Okay, so 2 days later, the kids have all been forgotten. Apparently, the parents don't have jobs because nobody from their jobs are looking for them. They've been sitting on the couch staring in a corner, and nobody noticed that. All the neighbors saw the house with paper on the wall on the window, and nobody's saying anything about that. I don't know about the neighborhood you guys live in. That would not fly. Everybody in my block would be talking about that house 24/7
Yeah.
Yeah.
and checking to see who's coming in and going out. Like, come on, that'd be on what's that application I can't stand next door. That'd be on next door.
Oh yeah, it would be on next door.
Yeah.
Yes, every 5 seconds somebody would be posting on next door. I saw somebody
Exactly.
ring the bell. I saw somebody
Exactly.
open the door. I saw somebody
Exactly.
pet the cat. So it's just like
Exactly.
they lived not just on a cul-de-sac, but the house in the middle of the cul-de-sac too,
Right, right.
right there in the middle. Like,
Right. And there
come
was, I don't know,
on,
and there was stuff in their driveway. I'm sure nosy
their
ass
car.
parents, neighbors would no, there was like paper or cloth. I don't know what it was.
Newspapers.
Yeah.
We're supposed to believe a newspaper kid came by and just kept throwing the newspapers on the
Yeah.
lawn.
So it's
Yeah,
like
it was a
5
car.
days. Yeah. Yeah.
It was a
I know.
car, newspaper. Nobody has friends. Nobody's missing. Nobody realizes, oh, the parents of this poor kid's missing. I did love the little kid though. He
I
did an
did too.
amazing job acting.
I did too.
Yeah.
When he met his aunt, he was like, nah, nah, something's up with this lady. I don't
Yeah.
like her.
So before we go too far, though, I just want to
Yeah.
jump back to Justine and talk about who she met in her endeavor, right? She runs into when she goes to the alcoholic store, when she goes to the liquor store several times, she runs into, oh, I can't think of his name, but she runs into a guy who's looking for money, right?
Yes.
She runs into him. We know he plays a role. She also runs into Paul, which she slept with, the cop. And then Archer, the guy we were just talking about, is out looking for the path that the kids have gone, and he sees Justine at the gas pump, and he approaches her and confronts her,
Right.
and she gets attacked by the principal.
Hmm. Oh, you're jumping way ahead. No, isn't that?
No, I'm not going to talk about it,
Oh,
but I just like this is the way they did it kind of in the movie. They went to
right, right.
capture.
True. Yes.
But I just wanted to show some of the connections of the people to show A, how small the community is, and just B, to say like how did they connect, you know, if at all.
Right. Well,
But then we can talk about Paul, right? He's dating or is married to the chief of police's daughter.
yeah, he's engaged to
Right. I mean, that's probably the worst place you want to, you know, like get out of the department. You don't want to be messing around with the chief of police's daughter and fooling around at the same time.
right.
Like,
Well,
and-
okay, so Justine was his ex-girlfriend, correct? I think so.
I think so.
Dated at some point. Can I just say that I think that I loved the guy who was asking for money. I love the crackhead. He was like my favorite character in
yes,
the
mine
movie.
too.
He made it like a comedian.
Mine too. His name was James. Mine
James,
too.
I loved James. He was phenomenal. But I just want to say the story with Paul and dating, engaged to the chief. I don't see what was. It was like a waste of time. They could have just cut that whole. We didn't need a background story on the police officer. He's a police officer. Children are missing. You're probably going to have cops with children are missing. We didn't need. There was no purpose for the chief of police or his daughter or the relationship because there was nothing there to win or gain or enhance the story. I just felt like they just wasted 20 to 30 minutes of our time, having that happen and then having, the girl, the fiance come into the liquor store and want to fight her. I didn't, it didn't benefit the story any. It didn't enhance it for me. It didn't make it any better. They could have left it out. It was longer than it needed to be, and that was part of what they could have left out for me personally.
I
Yeah.
feel like Paul went to Justine. I know they were friends, but I think the call that he had with his wife in the locker room implied that maybe he was a recovering alcoholic or something because he was saying, "Don't worry, I'm not going to drink. You know, I'll let you know if there's a drink or something."
Mm-hmm.
So, so I think maybe, you know, you say Justine is broken, maybe Paul's a little broken too, and maybe
Yeah.
that's why they have this connection.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Mm-hmm.
what, but Paul actually is out perusing, patrolling or whatever, and he sees James.
Perusing, yeah, more
He
or less.
sees James trying to break into a building. He chases him down, and he says to James, "Now I'm not a cop, but I'm assuming, you know, they're very cautious." And he thinks he's a meth head or some kind of someone who's addicted to something. And he says, "You know, do you have anything pointy in your pockets?" And of course, he's going to lie, right? And what do you
Right, right.
expect? So he
Yes.
gets poked by a needle and then ends up bashing the guy in the face and knocking him out.
Mm-hmm.
But it was caught on camera,
Right, right.
which is why he then let James go and said, "Look, you know, I won't say anything if you don't say anything. Basically, look, we both screwed up here. Punched you and I shouldn't have. Don't come to the office. I don't want to see you again."
Mm-hmm.
And then James kind of runs off, and Paul goes back to the office to see his, I'm going to call him father-in-law. I don't know if they're
Yeah.
married, but his father-in-law, who says, "Look, in 2 weeks, these tapes will be overwritten. Let's just hope James doesn't come in,"
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was probably exactly what happens.
Right, right. I mean, were they trying to establish that the father-in-law, or like, isn't that crazy about him anyway? That he's always. I wasn't really. I was trying to figure out the purpose of that whole relationship and dynamic being in this story. It just didn't, like, police are going to be involved. I didn't need a background for any of the police officers. To me, the movie was a bit too long, and that was one part that I think they could have skimmed off and saved 20 to 30 minutes.
I agree. I mean, I like the storytelling approach of it being sort of chapter driven and
Mm,
we see it from each person's perspective.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, true. That.
Problem was, though, to Sunchild's point, I feel like it was too many people's perspectives.
yeah,
It could have dropped one or two of those.
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't really, back to this, idea that the characters just there's just not a lot of people to root for. Uh, the principal, not sure why we had to do a backstory on him. Um, I don't know. There was just said there's a lot of backstories. I do like how they tied it all together, but
Yep.
maybe one or two of those backstories could have dropped and we wouldn't have missed it at all in the movie.
Yep.
Right, right, true. Yeah, a lot of backstories happening.
Yeah. So another backstory, right? Paul runs into James. We just talked about him. So James, we know, is addicted to something. I don't know what he's doing. Math. I don't know what he's shooting up. I don't know what he's doing.
I think
But we
he's
know he lives at, hmm?
yeah, it's on. I loved him. I did. I loved.
Yeah, me too. Me too. He lives out in a tent. He's always looking for money. He's a prankster. He steals stuff. He's tries to pawn everything he steals. And he goes into the pawn shop and sees, oh, look, there's a sign right there. 17 kids are missing. Oh, actually, he notices that after he breaks into Alex's house. And I think Nunya has a view on this where he breaks into the house and he's just gone on his merry way. The parents are frozen
Oh
in
my
their little
goodness.
chair. And
Yes.
then he notices them. He's like, oh shit, there are people here. Oh, but they're not moving. Let me continue to go on. And so he's whistling as he's stealing stuff.
Indeed.
And then but what he's stealing is Nunya's favorite, silverware. Like
Definitely.
out of all the stuff in the house, you're stealing the silverware.
Yeah, it was something.
But that's what he starts to steal. And then I guess he doesn't get enough forks and he decides to go into the basement. And in the basement is where he sees the kids.
Right.
Um, and then I think what happens is, I believe maybe Gladys was down there because something moved. I missed that part, but something moved, which triggered him to run up the steps.
It may have been Gladys.
Yeah, because
Triggered who? I'm sorry. I had to turn away for a second. That triggered somebody to do what?
oh, we're talking about James in the basement, right? He's stealing the silverware. Then he decides to go into the basement and he
Oh,
sees the kids. And I believe maybe Gladys was there and or something, maybe he stepped over a white chalk line. I don't know. But whatever he did kind of awoken the parents and, triggered him to run up the stairs because then he started being chased by the parents to the front door,
yeah.
right? But
Yep.
I don't know if it was Gladys that moved or if the kids actually moved, but something moved, convinced him to run up the stairs. The parents start to chase him, and that's when he runs out of the house with his little silverware and goes to the pawn shop and realizes, oh, I just saw those kids. They're in that house on, I don't know, Elm Street, I'm just going to call it.
Mhm.
And so he decides, James, he wants the money. I forgot what the reward was, but he wants the money. He decides he's going to call the precinct, but he doesn't want to go in there. And lo and behold, he runs into who? His nemesis, Paul. So Paul starts to chase him again and he runs out into the woods. And it seems like anyone who actually sees Gladys, something happens to them, I think, right? Because Paul saw him in the wood. I mean, sorry, James saw her in the woods. Um, I think Paul saw her somewhere. I don't know. It just seemed like whoever saw her, something weird happens to them.
Did
But
we?
mm,
No, keep going.
yeah, I was gonna say, so Paul chases them into the woods. He finds the tent. Paul goes to open the tent, and of course, James is so afraid because he just saw a whole bunch of crazy, weird shit, that he runs out and just stabs, and he ends up stabbing James in the face with more needles. Um, I mean, he ends up stabbing Paul in the face with more needles, and then, but he yells, "Listen, listen! I know where the kids are!" And Paul takes him to Alex's house, right?
Yep.
Um, and then it kind of jumps to, do you guys want to talk a little bit more about James? I mean, I think James is funny. I like the fact that because he was just on the beaten track, right? He's
Yeah.
walking the streets, it's raining. I don't know how everyone ends up at Alex's house, but James ends up at that house too. And I think the reason why he broke in is because maybe he thought no one's home because it was boarded up. But to Nunya's point, they live in a fabulous neighborhood. Like, where are the alarms and the cameras at this point? Like,
Yes, and a fabulous neighborhood. Why aren't the neighbors saying, "Why is this house going up in the newspaper?" Like people around here would not tolerate, something being out in the front for too long before they have a problem with it. So I would imagine, when you're in a neighborhood, especially that house looks, the neighborhood looks pretty good. The cars look pretty new. The houses look pretty nice. I don't think that they would tolerate like something practically boarded up when, especially when people still live there. It was just odd.
It
But
was
there's
odd.
no community out there. There was, it's considering all these kids are missing. There was no, and this child is in one house and he's not missing. He's the only child not missing. You think people would be camped outside, like everyone. You know what I'm saying? Everyone.
It just, there was no reason. I guess when I see stuff like this, I'm like, okay, maybe you make the decision to do this because it's economically cheaper to produce the movie this way. I don't know. But it really made no sense. It wouldn't make sense if your child is the only child that survived. Why is your house boarded up? Why are you disappearing?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
why is your child still going to school? So
Right.
it's like that took me so out of the whole movie right up front because the movie started with this girl's voice saying, "You're not going to believe the story I'm going to tell you. This is a true story. But if you ask anybody, nobody's going to tell you anything about it." And then
Because
they
they don't care.
right, proceed to tell the most unbelievable story on the planet. And it's like, yeah, because none of that happened. That's why nobody talks about it because it's a lie. And so you start off by saying this is the craziest story, and then you kind of go into this story where nobody in the community is reacting to the biggest story in the history of the community.
Yep, it's so true.
So
It's
it's
so
just kind
true.
of like, should I care? Because maybe I don't care now.
Mm,
But I do think at this, I mean, Justine again goes back to the principal and says, "Hey, look, you need to call Child Protection Services or something, or you need to get to that house." And he's like, "Well, I can't do it." But he decides to invite the parents to come, right, to the school. And who shows up? Auntie Gladys with
right.
her mucked up wig and lipstick. Did you
Okay,
notice
that I was almost ready to leave at that point.
that?
I
Did
was
you?
like, this is just why? Why?
Why?
Why? I didn't see any like why. You're trying to
Why?
be conspicuous and you look like a living, walking, talking Raggedy Andy doll. It was
Yes.
it
Yes,
was
exactly.
it was awful. I said, this can't be real. I mean, her lipstick was outside of her lips. It was just crazy to me. I'm like, I'm not understanding why they took the movie in this direction. A movie that if I say to you, let's do a movie, kids go missing at 2:17 in the morning, it's intriguing, right? And then
Right.
you see this and you're like, why? Like, why don't
Right. Why did we introduce Pennywise
Yeah.
yeah,
into the
yes,
movie?
yes,
It's
why?
like if it was going to be a clown in
Right.
clown makeup, just put
Yes.
her in the sewer. Like
Just yeah, just
why is she all up walking around the streets? It
why?
just she
Why?
just was so weird.
I
So
think that's why the secretary was like standing at the door, like, "Are you seeing this?"
yeah, right. I mean, somebody like that shows up, says the parents, are sick and they can't make it, of the only house of the only child who's not missing. Swarm, you know what I mean? Swarm. Why are there not helicopters and people
Thank
landing,
you.
people
Thank you.
insisting, I want to see the parents? What are you talking about? You're taking care of this kid. I mean, you don't look like you can take care of yourself. If you're like a witch and you're trying to be, blend in. That wasn't blending. That's not a blend. That's just not. I was just like this. I don't know if this is horror or comedy. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
James made the whole movie for me. Love James. He was just like it for me. He was. I loved him. He did not care. I mean, even the part that he's still like thieving, and I understand he's got issues. So he probably, if they were sleeping, he would still be sneaking around taking because he needs, but they sat up and he didn't even find that like odd that they were just sitting there not reacting to him. I think I'd be a little scared. I mean, I don't know. I don't have James's problems, but my goodness, it was a little comedic for me.
Yeah. So then we have, Marcus, she comes, she's a joke. And then he goes home, and then to Nanya's point, we have to hear his story. So he's at home with his partner. They're having dinner, and Gladys shows up talking about, I don't know, I missed the bus and I ran a mile to your house. It's like click. Like that would have been the end of the movie. Like Gladys would have been stopped right there. Why would they? Because his partner was like, let him in. Marcus is like, no, no, no. The fact that she passed 90,000 houses, probably the police precinct, the bus stop, the taxi, the subway, you name it,
Yeah,
just to get to your house, yeah, you're not coming in.
at
What
all.
the hell? And
At
then you
all.
ask for water in a bowl.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah, what's
I
going on?
know, right?
And
Yeah, that
this is the same neighborhood, this is the same community that doesn't care about 17 kids, but now all of a sudden we're too polite to tell this lady to go kick rocks.
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
Come
yeah.
on now.
It just
Stop it.
it really took like different turns that I was not only not prepared for, but just like mystified. I was there like if you could see me, I had like this huge question mark on my face. Like, what is happening? What's happening right now? There's no way she would be getting in. Um,
No, no way. No way. The whole movie makes no sense because Barbarian was such a well done movie. And to just keep throwing in these actions that just are out of place, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense
at
that
all.
this is the sole survivor and you invite the family to come up and talk to you, and then they send a random aunt and you don't think anything of it. It makes no sense that you're the principal of a middle elementary school, middle school, whatever it is, and you don't think you have the authority to call the police and talk and say that you think a student needs a welfare check. Like it's like you're so I feel like they went so far out of their way to try to make the story work to the point where it was just unbelievable.
Yeah,
And so
Yeah,
it just took and I'm all for the ride. I went in, like I said, expecting 20 kids disappeared at 2 in the morning. Ooh, this is going to be good. And then
yeah,
you make it so unrealistically unbelievable
yes.
that
and
you're
not
like, okay,
about the
well now I,
children.
yeah, now like I guess I understand why the community doesn't care because now
Yeah.
I care either.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I stopped
So,
caring at a certain point. I
Yes, I stopped caring too. In fact, when the
yeah,
kids were all in the basement, all I was thinking was, so wait a minute, kids have been in this basement this whole time.
right.
Right there, next to they got a house on the left, a house on the right. They're directly straight in front of the cul-de-sac. The kid goes to school every day. Let me just get this all straight. Nobody noticed that the parents are missing. Nobody notices that the newspapers are piling up on the in the driveway. The car hasn't moved for weeks. Nobody sees. Nobody notices anything. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, okay, check. Okay,
Yeah.
so then
Check.
we so then I thought the movie should have been called Chopsticks because when the lady
Mhm.
goes to Marcus's house, we realize, oh, here's how she does her little concoction. She gets something from you, she wraps it around a chopstick and snaps it. And when it snaps, that's when you snap.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Marcus, attacks his partner, and then she has the hair that she pulled from Justine when she camped out at Alex's house, wraps it around another chopstick, snaps the chopstick, and then that's why he goes off to attack her, which is why when Archer and Justine are at the gas pump,
right.
Marcus comes with his propeller arms, you know, and attacks
Yes,
her.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, this was the dumbest shit on the
It,
planet.
Ran into the liquor store, and the poor sales clerk who has seen the entire town, because the only time the town talks is when they're at the liquor store.
Yeah.
right,
They
right.
all run into his store. You think he even thinks to call the police? He just stares at them like, "Get out my store."
Yeah.
This is the worst community on the face of the
You would,
planet.
yeah,
Do not move to this town.
you would think it was like in the city, like where you see odd shit all the time. But this was in the suburbs where I'm sure if you came in with a yellow dog, people would probably talk. But this, oh,
Yes,
no,
right.
it
Yeah,
was so weird. So then at this point, I think Justine and Archer, she thanks him for saving his life. They kind of uh cooperate or collaborate on what to do next, so they go and they go to Alex's house, and she sees the cop there come out and go back in, and then they decide they're gonna go in, and it kind of stops there, and then they take you to Alex, poor Alex, right? He's this third grade loner pretty much, who to Nunya hinted earlier, the dad says, Auntie Gladys is coming and he sees Gladys and he's thinking, wait, what? Does she have to stay here? Like, how long is she going to be here? And then she does all this weird ass shit with the parents. And he is not convinced. He's like, Dad, snap out of it. Snap out of it. She's like he's throwing water in his dad's face, trying to get him to wake up. And then, of course, Gladys scares the bejesus out of him by making the mom stab herself in the face.
Right.
So of course he jumped in line because he's like, oh yeah, she's lost it. She has lost it. So he at this point is vowed to do whatever she says, which is you don't tell anybody that I'm here, and you don't tell anybody why your parents, I don't know, something about the parents, just something no one can believe. Um, but
I
no,
loved.
It's more nonsense. Just spew nonsense, and
that's it.
nobody's listening to you anyway. So don't worry about it, kid.
I
Exactly, exactly,
I loved
exactly.
when she said, get me things belonging to other people, and he was like, "If I do, you'll leave."
Yeah, yeah. Will this
I
help you get the F out? Because I'll
he
do it
was
tonight.
he was all in. He took everybody something from everybody's box, and he was like, "Let me give this to her so she can
She
bounce."
can
I didn't
bounce.
understand like were they just frozen in time, and then he had to feed everybody soup. I mean, the whole thing. The
It's all
poor
about the
kid.
chopstick,
Yeah,
the chopstick and the white chalk. It should
yeah.
have been called
What was
chopstick,
her
chalk and
goal?
chopsticks. I don't know.
The poor
What
kid.
was her goal? What her
Well,
goal was to
see,
cure whatever
I
illness
think
she
she
had.
was
Was
she eating them? Like,
was
what did they provide for her?
Exactly. They never said. I'm like, do they give her youth or something? Do they give her health? But what is she? What do they provide for her? What is she taking from them? She just has them there. Like nothing seems to be happening. Like the parents didn't seem to be getting like older or sick or dying. The kids were just frozen in the basement. I don't understand. What was she? Couldn't she absorb from them if she was just absorbing, molecules or something we can't see from them if they were home and she had a property up there? It's like the whole thing was just like mine. Like honestly, I didn't even know where to start with this thing. The fiance first, the first ridiculous thing to me was the fiance knowing that he slept with Justine like the very next day. I'm like, oh, because he went home and told. Well, that's realistic because that happens all the time. Me and my jaded self, I'm like, she would have to find that out another way because I don't see him just going home and confessing like 2 seconds after he, made faux pas and
I mean,
slept
I think he
with someone else.
spent the night out. That's why she was
Well, he's a
pregnant and
police
stuff.
officer. He could have said
And
anything.
she
I'm
knew.
sure they do. I'm sure they do.
He must have done it before because
Yeah,
she was like, yeah, no.
right. And then when she caught him again, when he didn't know she was going to be home, and she's like, "You're not in uniform," and it's kind of her voice trails off as she like has this realization in her mind that this is what happened again, and she goes to beat Justine up again, beat him up, and leave. How about that? It's like the whole movie just was. I had picked this thing apart as I was sitting there thinking, "Why am I watching? Like, how did this? How did it end up here?" When it had such promise for me. I mean,
I,
I really hate that I go into everything with like the highest hopes and then I just like sigh.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think we like James because he was realistic.
Oh, I
He was
love.
just like, I need money. I don't care how I
Yes.
get it. I'm gonna do what I need to do to get
Yes.
my fix. And
Yes.
we like Alex because Alex was like, if I get you this shit, will you get out of my house?
Right.
And you go to the hospital. He's thinking, how can you get out of my house?
Exactly. He had a goal and a purpose, and he was like, that's
And
what he was
he
working for.
wanted his parents back. He was willing to do whatever it took to get his parents back.
Yes. And I loved, yeah, you're right. Those were my two favorite characters. Definitely, definitely love them.
And then,
I
after he gets their lanyards or whatever, their name tags, he realizes what she did because they all started running into the house and he's standing there like, oh shit. Now
Yeah.
I got these badass kids in my basement.
I have to feed them. I have to go buy.
Gladys is still and Gladys is still here. So the next day I would have gone into school and told on her butt. It's like she's
No.
still here. I thought she was leaving. She's still here.
Right.
But then remember, the cops go to the house. They finally get the cops to go to the house, but Gladys, they take down all the paper. Gladys convinces them to clean up. These cops never go. Well, they don't, it doesn't matter if they're going to the basement because she send the kids away. I don't know where the heck 17 kids running out of her house at 2 o'clock in the afternoon run to, But remember, she does something and they all run away,
Yes.
run elsewhere, which is
Yeah,
odd.
I don't know what Gladys's purpose or point was.
They met.
I just feel like when they, I don't know, again, are they trying are they trying to make a point about society in general to say that we're all disassociated and disinterested, and so we walk around not really paying attention? Is that the message that we're trying to get from this movie? Because I just don't understand it. I don't. And what is Gladys's point? Why do
Yeah,
we always have these evil people with powers, and either their powers are stupid
Yeah.
or they're using their powers stupidly?
Yes. And what were her powers? She needed him to go get stuff. I mean, she okay, she could make people do things if she had things, but what could she do? She was more like a voodoo person. I don't know if I would really consider her like a witch.
and if
Because
that's the case, go to the pharmacy, get what you need, and make yourself a remedy. Like, why are you
I
killing
was thinking the
kids? And
same thing.
the
You
whole thing.
want Are you here because you're sick and you want to be well? So how are kidnapping people helping you get well? What are you doing with the kids now that they're in the basement? You just
Yeah.
want their energy to go
Yeah.
through the floor? Like,
right,
what is your goal here?
Yeah.
If I had powers,
Mm.
I'd be so much more effective than the foolish, evil people in these horror movies because they
yeah.
just be wasting everybody's time.
Wasted time. Yeah.
Wasting time.
Mm.
I said, if what do you need? You need medicine? Well, go to the hospital and get some. Go to the
Please.
hospital and turn the nurse into somebody who'll go get you the medicine, then you can go take it and leave. Like they're just,
Exactly.
well, what's your plan?
Exactly.
Just put a
Exactly.
bunch of kids in the basement? Then what?
Right.
And then she says, once they're found out, Alex, come on, we're leaving in the morning. Oh, and don't step over the salt line. So again, it's salt and chopsticks. That's her claim
That
to
was
fame.
it. That should be the name of the movie. So
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, it was just oh, but just I gotta back up. Please tell me you guys remember this scene where Archer finds the path of the that which the children went. It ends up in front of Alex's house, and he's standing there, and there's a cloud above the house. And the cloud I don't know, the shape looked like a rifle with 217 in it. What? Like, does anybody, do you guys remember? I know none of you, we were like, what is that darkness up there? Yeah, it looked like a rifle with
Mm.
217 in it. Why? What is like, yeah, I'm not, we all know it's 217. You said it like 15 times in the movie. We don't need to see now a cloud over a house that looks like a rifle with 217 in it. I don't
I
know.
mean, there could have been a cloud over that house with an arrow
Yeah.
pointing to that house.
Yeah, say they're right here. Yeah. Yeah. All the kids are here. Yep.
And that town would have just looked right past it.
Yep. Yep.
Sure, for sure.
Yep. Yep.
And I just my disappointment in Alice is just I think that I was up for the movie up until Alice showed up, and then I was like, oh, I cannot.
Yeah.
I just like I said, Raggedy Ann ain't doing it for me. She has
No.
no purpose. She got all this wasting time learning all these spells and don't know how to use them, or if she does, she don't know what she's doing. I don't know which one, but just wasting everybody's time. And then the finale, where what did you all make of the ending?
You mean where Alex uses her own weapon against her?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that's what
whatever.
that,
It's whatever. At
yeah.
that point, I awake? Like it's whatever at this point.
Yeah, no. It was I was
And
so
then they started attacking her. It's like all I need is some water, some of your hair, and chopsticks, and anybody can do this shit. My neighbors would be dropping like flies. Like, come on. Like that's not the potion's got to be a little more intricate than that, I would think.
right, yeah.
I don't know that Gladys knew what she was doing. She needs to go back to that recipe book.
Yeah, something has to go down because yeah, no.
But
Mm-mm.
even, I mean, like Alex picked it up. He knew exactly what to do. He had some water, her
Oh yeah.
chopstick, and something from her. I don't even know what it was. She had no hair, so
I mean, the only two people paying attention in the movie was a child and a drug addict. What does
That
that
That's
tell
it.
you?
was it. That was it.
I'll give Matthew's dad credit. I mean, he was
I
running
give
off on the
Justine some credit
conspiracy,
too.
a little
I
bit of
will give
credit,
her some.
you know, running off and trying to figure things out, not being particularly successful, but trying. At least he cared
Yep.
versus the other
Yep.
parents. But
Yep.
yeah,
I
this was
mean,
a movie that I felt like could have been an amazing movie. It
Yeah.
had quite a few good elements. It had a strong cast. It had a very original screenplay, and very different plot, nothing like any of us have seen before. And it had a big budget. I feel like the big budget might have worked against them because I feel like if they had been forced to trim like 30 minutes from the movie, just make it nice and tight and not
they would have.
dwell so long on all the chapters, it would have
Yep.
made the movie so much more
Yep.
enjoyable.
They would
Yeah.
have kept what was really important. Yep. Trim the fat.
Trim the fat, keep us on our toes. But
Yep.
you were giving us too much. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm playing a crossword puzzle, I'm deciding if I want to go get more popcorn. I'm thinking about whether I want to mow my lawn that day or the next day. I mean, it was just too much time for my mind to wander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just want to, we talked about this. Because I cannot believe how when Archer went to those other parents' door and said, "Look, my son is also missing. Can you mind if I look at how nonchalant they were about that?"
Yeah, yeah.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that's why I feel like, is it, what are we, is that the message of the movie that we live in a world today where nobody is paying attention to other people's situations? We don't care anymore. Is that the message? Because that is definitely what it felt like was being said over and over and over again in this movie.
Well, that would be the only thing that makes it good is that okay, there's a message and that was it. Because other than that, like I'm lost for finding any like thing good about it.
And I would have, and listen, we all acknowledge if a movie's scary, it can be stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yep.
But this wasn't scary. I
Nope.
mean, there was maybe one jump scene, and I would say one because once you realize it was going to be Gladys in every scene, you weren't scared anymore.
Right.
Like the
Yeah.
first time you see Gladys, you're like, "Ooh, is that
Yeah.
Gladys in the corner?" But
Right.
then after that, you're like, "Oh, Gladys is in the corner
Oh,
again.
there's Gladys.
There's Gladys. Get down
There
from the
goes
ceiling.
Karen. Yep, there's
Right.
Gladys again.
Right. Right.
Stop peeking in the window. Ain't
Don't you have
nobody
something to
scared."
do? Yeah. Don't you
Exactly.
have something to do?
Don't you have some hair to tie around some
Chopsticks. And
Six.
like,
Chopsticks.
and then the kids go and they tear her apart, and the guy's mowing his lawn. He doesn't give a shit, right? I
Nope.
mean, he sees all these people running in the back. Oh, that's weird. Oh, and they're chasing an old lady. Oh, that's weird.
Oh,
But I got to do this part of my lawn because the sun's gonna go down in 10 minutes. Nobody gave a shit.
and there's 17 of them. That
17.
sounds familiar.
Yeah.
17 kids
Yeah.
Seven-
all running around in the yard. Kind of reminds me of a story I heard about.
yeah, something. Was it even ever on the news?
Well, like I said, the girl in the beginning, this story is a true story, but you're never going to find anyone in the town who talks about it. Yeah,
Yeah, that she's right though. She's 100% right.
he was right. Yes, because
Even
none
when
of them cared.
we're talking about it, I'm
They
like,
talked
what?
about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Gladys. She got mauled by 17 kids, and then they just stand there. And Matthew's like, "Well, I'm getting my son." I mean, Archer's like, "I'm getting my son. I don't
Yes.
care about these other 16. If their parents don't show up, which they didn't, you would
Right.
think there would be a crowd around those kids."
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Because
Oh,
even when he
yes.
was looking through them, though, he was like, "Nope, you're not him. You're not him." He wasn't like, "Get
Oh,
out."
I noticed that
Yourself.
too.
Yes.
And that's why he kind of, and I love Josh Brolin as an actor. I love him. He's a great actor.
Yes.
When he
Yeah.
went running down those stairs and he's like pushing the kids out of the way trying to find Matthew. And I'm like, listen, I know you want to find your child, but can't
Yeah.
you be happy that other
Please.
children are alive?
Thank you.
He just
Yeah.
didn't care. He
He
was
didn't
just like he
care.
said, move, move, get
Oh,
out the
yeah.
way.
You're not him. Get out the way.
That's the neighborhood, though. You care for
Yeah.
your
That's
shit
the town.
only. That's the
That's the
town.
town.
That's the
That's the
town.
town.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
It's like
I don't even know why they have a
see no
school.
evil, speak no. Exactly. They might as well all be homeschooled because
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
nobody's going to go to their homes anyway.
No, in the
Who cares
future.
what they're learning?
Yeah.
No, no.
Sure.
The next
Was it?
day, 17 kids go missing. and they send him to his homeroom. So Alex is sitting in his homeroom by himself. What
Right. Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, there was a lot of foolishness happening.
Just like beyond, just beyond foolishness.
and it had like
Beyond
I said, it
foolishness.
had so much potential. It had
Hmm.
so much potential. And I still believe in the director. I think he'll make a good film. But again, dude, just because they tell you you got 2 hours, I mean you got to use 2 hours.
Hello.
You trim
You
that
don't
right
gotta
back.
just fill it up. Yeah, you don't just fill it up. Right.
You
Exactly.
know, past 145, you better be A plus all the way.
All the way. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Hmm.
Yeah. And so I don't know if you guys know, but the only time they use the word weapon in the movie is when Archer said to Justin, I think the people who are hypnotized are weaponized. That's the only time you use the word in the film.
Hmm.
They're
And then
weaponized.
it made sense at that point, but then I couldn't quite figure out because as you said, every time Gladys wanted to get somebody for whatever reason, she would, weaponize somebody against that person. She would take control of that person and use them as a weapon against the other person. But
Mhm.
then how did that all tie to what is her illness and what is she trying to get from this?
We don't know.
Right.
I
Is
have
a
Right.
no
weapon going
clue.
to keep you alive longer?
Mm,
I
mm.
mean, I don't know
And
because
and
she's
then
willing
stop
to
making a
do.
big deal about them running out with their arms up when that had
Yes.
nothing to do with anything.
Helicopter. Who cares? Helicopter. Yeah, it was, and they had Marcus running like that. It's
Yeah.
like he's a grown ass man. I can see kids always run like that, but he's a,
Yeah.
it was just dumb. It was just, oh
It was
gosh.
very disappointing, extremely disappointing. But I did go watch Barbarian after that, so I was excited to to know that he definitely did a good one because that was very interesting.
And I hated
Yeah,
to see James.
Barbarian is was that's kind of what made me so excited. I think what made us all excited about this movie is like, oh, Barbarian was so good. This is going to be so great.
Mm.
And it wasn't like I said, it wasn't the worst movie. There's been far worse than
Oh,
this movie,
mhm,
but it just was. It was. I felt like it was. It reminded me a little bit of Sinners in that maybe because it was so hyped up,
mhm,
it's hard to live up to that hype. And
right,
so maybe no matter what, I was going to be, a little bit disappointed in it.
mhm,
Uh, And then I just think, any movie more than 2 hours had better be really good.
mhm,
Yeah. And then it just seemed like uh, once the spell broke, well, she said some of the people started to speak, some didn't. Poor Alex gets shipped off to another aunt. But like, I would have loved to seen James come out of it, even though at this point I don't really care what happens in the movie. But I liked his character so much that I would have loved to see him come out of it, whatever that means.
right, right. Yes, yeah, I get what you're saying. I did like his character as well.
Yeah, and that made it even crazier is that the characters that you liked, one of them dies, the rest of them survive. You're not sure why.
Mhm.
You're not still not sure what's up with Alex's parents because nobody's random aunts coming and living with you. Come on.
Right,
Yeah, she said they didn't even know her that well, but she needs help. Well, yeah, call help, call
right.
911.
I'm on.
Like, call the
I
helpline.
was I was thinking you ain't needed my help the last 92 years of your life.
Call the
You all right?
helpline. You know what I'm saying? No, you're not staying. You're not
Exactly.
staying.
You're
And how
definitely
did
not
you get there
saying.
in the middle of the night? You're like 90, she's not really, but and you're showing up at like midnight. What are you doing coming in a cab at midnight? Where are you coming from?
And only in the movies, right, do people not have families. And I get it. There's no point. I don't want to watch a movie where every time something happens, somebody's on the phone talking to all their siblings. But come on now. You're not picking up that phone and calling somebody saying, why is Aunt Gladys at my house?
Exactly.
Who gave Aunt Gladys my address?
Exactly.
Exactly. How
Why
does
is
she
she
know where I
pulling
live?
up?
How does she
Exactly.
know where I live?
Because she is not staying here with me.
Exactly.
oh
Exactly.
man.
Poor Alex.
Yeah, I feel sorry for poor Alex to live in that neighborhood, and I feel so sad for the crackhead because he was the smartest one in the whole neighborhood.
Yep.
Was the one who knew to do drugs to escape the
Yeah,
reality of living in
that's
that
probably
town.
why. He's
Right.
probably
Of
like, this place
course,
is effed up. I need to
it
get
is,
high on
and they
something.
were. They were.
I
Every
get it
one of them
now.
was weird.
I get why he was like he was. Yeah, 100%.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't blame him at all because that town was just like packed out of it.
Yeah, because at the end
But
of the movie, I was ready to start shooting up. Like, enough is enough.
just watching it, watching it, I'm like, I need something right now. Where's that liquor store at that they're always?
Exactly. Where them
For real.
candy at?
And it is weird though that there weren't more scares in the movie. Like
I was
there were.
disappointed
Yeah.
about that. I was very
Yeah.
disappointed. I was not. I mean, she was frightening looking. Like if somebody came in my office looking like that, I'd be like, okay, we'll just forget about the 17 kids. Like, just don't come back here anymore. Like whatever you need, you can have it. Because but she wasn't. It wasn't scary to me. It was just odd. The whole thing was just odd. I wasn't. I wanted to like it so badly, but
I think because of her physical condition, they could have had, she could have been extremely creepy. Like they could have kept her in she could have, when James came into the basement, they could have, easily had a scene where she's kind of crawling out with, the way she looks. That would have been a jump scare,
yeah.
right? There could have been like when James went to the window, her head could have popped up looking the way she looked. There's like a trillion opportunities I
Yeah.
felt. When the mom came out to snip her hair, it could have been, or maybe it was I don't know. I think it was the mom that came out, right? To snip Gladys's hair. She jumped in the back car. I mean, to snip Justine's hair.
Yes.
It was the mom or was it Gladys, the aunt?
Oh, I think it was the mom.
I think so.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
mom. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was relatively scary. They could have made it even more scary, but what did they do? They showed a bunch of what looked like plastic scissors cutting a lock that was 16 inches longer than her haircut. It's like, oh, please. Detail, folks.
Right, right. Detail.
Oh, I forgot about that scene. And that was actually, that had me excited about the movie. When
Yeah.
Justine was sitting in the car and the door opened up and that lady came out with the scissors, I thought, oh, this
Yes.
is going to be so good. Because
Yeah,
Yes.
I've never seen this scene
Yep.
before.
Yep.
right,
And
right.
then it kind of just didn't. And
It,
then there was a scene where I think it was Alex who was sleeping and woke up and I think saw Gladys on the ceiling above his bed or something like that.
that was Justine.
It was Justine. Okay.
Yep.
And but it was like for a half a second, so it wasn't
Yep.
even like long enough.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then who was banging on Justine's door that night?
Maybe it was, I don't know who it was.
That fiance or
Well, you know what? It may have been Archer because then you
Yeah,
look
it
through his
probably was.
perspective, you see him in the truck with the red paint in his car. So it could have been,
It could
I
have
don't know
been,
why he
yeah.
would have banged on the door and ran. I mean, he's 50. I don't know why he'd be running, but maybe it was him. I don't know. But yeah. I think there was opportunities. There were definitely opportunities to make this. And kids, to me, in any movie, kids can be creepy AF. So the kids could have been extremely creepy in this movie, but it
right.
wasn't about them. It wasn't even about them.
Yeah, and no, and where the kids weren't creepy at all in the movie.
No.
It is, Josh Brolin, Archer's son, was the bully. So it was like, here he
Matthew.
is pushing all the kids out of the way to get to Matthew, and Matthew was the bully from the beginning of the movie that all the
Yep.
other kids couldn't stand.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, just close the doors on that town and let them people live out their
That's
lives.
it.
Because
That's it. We'll
we'll
see
keep
what happens
Sylvester.
28 years later with them. Like just,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was. Just
Yeah.
28 years later. Except that in this movie, we couldn't. That's how bad it was. When you can't tell when the police show up at the house if it's been 2 days or 28
Yeah.
years later.
Yeah.
Right. Hmm.
You couldn't tell. Is the investigation fresh? How long has this been going on? Nobody knew.
Hmm. Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah,
knew.
it was
Nobody
bad.
knew.
Nobody
It was
knew.
bad. It's-
I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna jump right to unless there's something else you guys want to talk about on it.
No, I think we
No.
we
Yeah.
beat that dead horse.
I think we did. Yeah. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. And I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give this a 2.5. I can't. And this is and it kills me because like I said the acting, such great actors, very creative script. I like that. I liked where it was going, but just took too long to get there, and then dragging it out. It just took me out of any fantasy world I wanted to be in and be afraid. And so it just kept pulling me out and made me, look at the clock too many times. So for
Mm,
me, that puts it in the 2.5, maybe three at the most, but I think three is generous.
So you're gonna give it a 2.5?
I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
Okay. I'll go next. I think, the way they did the movie reminded me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is one of
oof.
my favorite films where they
Mhm,
kind of show different perspectives, but I think it works in that scenario. I think for a horror film, it's kind of when you're jumping that much, it's hard to see the horror in any of this because now I'm on to the next person's drama. You know what I mean? It's hard then to
Mm.
tie them. I think it's just harder to kind of create a horror film with that type of setup. I
mhm,
do think for the most part, the acting, I mean, James and Alex stole the show. And thank God for James because he's the reason why it's going to get the score that I got from me. But I just think it was too long. I wasn't really, I mean, what happened was horrific if you think about it, but it doesn't, for me, that wasn't necessarily a horror film. And I literally felt when I was watching this that I could use a break right now. Like we're at the commercial,
Mm.
which is
yeah.
really sad,
Mhm,
really sad. So I too, I'm going to give it a 2.5 because I think, James really stole the show for me. And I do like the commitment that Archer and Justine had in finding the kids. Nobody else gave a shit about what happened to the kids when it was happening, nor once it was done, because they were still standing there by themselves. So yeah.
mhm. Yeah. Well, I mean, the acting to me is the only thing I can say I would like rate it on, but I still have a scale to go on. So I have to say two, and I'm sad. And the two is like five for just acting, if you get what I'm saying, because there was nothing else in the movie that I could say that I loved. And the idea of it, yes, the idea of it, there was so many places it could have went. And the fact that, I love witches, and I was so disappointed that she was just kind of like a regular person who maybe read a spell book and learned some voodoo tricks, and that was, she was hoping it would heal her. She didn't seem to be doing any better for everything that she did. So I was so disappointed in so many aspects of the movie. It could have went so many different directions. It could have been, and the best part about it was the acting and the comic effect. I love the little boy. Like when he was like, "You'll leave if I get this stuff." Okay,
Yeah.
bump
Yeah.
these people. They're all gonna. I don't like them that much anyway. I sit in the back by myself. They're all gonna have to go. I love the little boy. I loved the guy with the drug and alcohol problems. He's on the phone and he's like, I got a job, I need clothes, just send money, as he's checking through, rifling through vehicles. I mean, everything about him was hilarious. He was just so funny to me. He made it, but I was not watching a comedy. I was watching what was supposed to be a horror movie, what I had high expectations of, and I was extremely disappointed in that respect. So I have to go with two.
Yeah. And you said, witch. Was she really a witch? Because if she was a witch, does that make Alex a warlock? Because he did the same spell she did, and he didn't know anything.
Right. Exactly. So it fell like, just, it missed the mark by, a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Marked by a lot.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's our view on the 2025 film Weapons by was it Zach Kreger. Uh, Thanks for joining us, Girls Talk 9.0. I'm Rayleigh Hollow. That's Nunya. That's Sunchild. Until next time.
Till next time.
Peace.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.